Welcome to Stanford e-Entrepreneurship. My name is Makiko Hirata. I will be your instructor for this course. This orientation video will introduce you to the overall concept of this course and who I am. In this course, we will consider entrepreneurship very broadly, asking questions about each of our responsibilities and rights as global citizens, and how to increase our efficacy to affect change to create a better future for all beings. Let me start with the fundamentals. To live is to change. Every breath, food, stimulus, and information we take in changes our constitution. To be is to affect change. Every breath, discharge, movement, and ideas we put out changes the world we live in. What can we do to ensure that the changes we bring on are positive? How do we know or determine what is positive, what is good? Good for whom and in what time scale? To start with, this course will consider the importance of balance. Various pursuits place emphasis on the input or the output, but rarely the balance between the two. For example, to be a scholar is to be conscientious about the knowledge we seek out with the emphasis on the input, and to be an artist is to be conscientious about our output in the specific artistic discipline with the emphasis on the output. The barometer of success for business ventures is often its revenue. This places the emphasis on the input, the profit. One way to increase the revenue is to lower the cost to offer the service or produce the product, and inflate the sales price and/or manipulate consumer behaviors. As a result, the food industry today, for example, markets items made with cheap ingredients and addictive chemicals. This comes at a cost. Food is not just sustenance. It not only nurtures our bodies, but also connects us to each other, to our history, and to our culture, and to nature. By focusing on profits, businesses are not only endangering our individual well-being, but also our traditions and communities, our humanity and environment. There must be a balance between the input and the output, the give and take, in our every pursuit for our physical, mental, and social well-being, and to be true, just, and fair. Just as we cannot continue to breathe in without breathing out, we cannot continue to seek only input, whether it be breath, profit, or knowledge. I appreciate the opportunity to go on this journey with you, especially for two reasons, and they both have to do with exploring this balance. Firstly, this course is designed to provide student-centered active learning. This means that you will get to test your new informational input through discussions with your classmates, group presentations and projects, research papers, and other means. In contrast to the traditional passive learning classrooms where teachers give their lectures and students listen, in this course, you'll be an active participant in the process of our collective knowledge and idea formation. Secondly, this course will explore entrepreneurship as a way to reevaluate this balance between input and output, give and take, and profit and purpose. One of the things that is crucial to restore our sense of balance is communication and coordination between very different beings. You were selected out of an overwhelming number of high-quality applications, not just for your accomplishments and essays, but also for your differences from each other. You and your classmates are from all across the United States, from the east to the west, north and south, and urban to rural. Your experiences and perspectives vary greatly, nurtured by your various ethnic, cultural, spiritual, and ancestral languages, practices, and beliefs, life circumstances, physical conditions and identities, surrounding communities, on and on and on. We have athletes, artists, teachers, scientists, technologists, nonprofit founders, activists, community organizers, and many, many more. Let me elaborate on why diversity is so important. We live in a world that is rapidly changing with technological advancement, global warming, exponential population growth, deepening political divisions, widening wealth disparities, conflicts, etc. What has worked for us so far may not help us in the future. That is why we need creativity and innovation, the ability to think outside of the box. And that is why we need diversity. To explain how this course works and why we need each of you to actively participate to co-create the most meaningful learning experience for everyone, let me use this parable. Most of you probably already know the story of the blind man in a room trying to figure out this enormous thing they've never seen or heard before, only by touching what is right in front of them. They each describe what they think it is, deciding that everyone else must be wrong because it is not what they sense, thereby missing the big picture, the whole elephant. What you may not know about this famous fable is that its oldest written record in Sanskrit goes back to 1500 BC, and various versions of the story can be found all over the world. We are the blind man, every one of us earthlings. And the elephant we're trying to figure out can be anything: climate change, gender equality, the future of AI. Whether we succeed or not in figuring this out depends on our ability to communicate and to collaborate. That is what we will practice in this course. Your classmates' learning, discoveries, and progress will help yours, and vice versa. Our fate in this course and on this planet is indistinguishably intertwined, making it essentially one and the same. Now, let me introduce myself and what I will be bringing to this course. I am Dr. Makiko Hirata, the Stanford e-Entrepreneurship instructor. I was born in Japan, but moved to Hong Kong for my father's business when I was 1. There, my parents spoke to me in Japanese, my nanny spoke to me in Cantonese, and the outside world was in English because Hong Kong was a British colony then. So, when I started speaking, I couldn't finish a sentence in one language. I would know one word in Japanese, the next word in Cantonese, and so on and so forth. That made me shy. I didn't want to go outside to play with friends, but stayed inside and played the piano. And my mom told me that music was a universal language. It meant, she said, that if I were to play the piano well, I could make friends with anyone from anywhere in the world. And that sounded good to me. So I practiced very hard and continued even after we moved back to Japan when I was 6. And I got into a famous music school in New York eventually called Juilliard when I was 13. I went to play concerts all over the world. I went to play in big and famous cities like Paris, Washington, D.C., and Tokyo. But I also went to very small countries I didn't know anything about, like Bolivia and Macedonia. I met some very rich people, but I also very poor people. I wore dresses to play concerts, and many people treated me like a princess. But there were other people who treated me with racism and sexism. That made me wonder, if music was really a universal language, why does it matter where I am from, or if I'm a woman, or whether I am rich or poor, or wearing a dress or a pair of jeans? That made me want to study more. So I went back to school to study history and neuroscience. While studying history revealed the roots of our bigotry, neuroscience revealed our nature as social animals, dependent on cohabitation and collaboration for our species' survival. These realizations helped me reframe music as an innately human practice. We don't know of a civilization that existed without music. Music plays a role in enhancing our capacity for compassion, to live and work together in harmony. I realized that music is not a test to prove my unique individuality or artistry, but a way to celebrate our interconnectedness. It is a way to recognize how what we share is greater than our differences. Now I call myself Dr. Pianist because I have a DMA, a Doctor of Musical Arts degree, but also because I now know that musicians can heal us and restore our connections. Now, this brings me to why I sign my emails to you with Makiko Sensei. You can call me whatever you like. Makiko, Dr. Hirata, Dr. Makiko, Dr. Pianist, whatever. But I will refer to myself as Makiko Sensei in my communication with you for the following reasons. The Japanese word sensei is used typically to mean teachers. I know that in the US, the word tends to be reserved to the teachers of martial arts, but in Japan, a sensei can be a classroom teacher, a piano teacher, medical doctors, field experts, and anyone you deem as older and or wiser. However, when you take the word apart and analyze it with its Chinese characters, it literally means someone who goes ahead of you in life, someone who is older. Being older gives one some advantages, more years and decades of experience and accumulated knowledge, for example. But every advantage also has a trade-off. Knowledge can give you a blind spot. Experience gives you preconceived notions that might prove false. When it comes to innovation, especially, being older with more experience and knowledge can be a disadvantage. It is with this spirit that I will humbly refer to myself as Makiko Sensei in my relationship with you. I want to share from my personal experience and things I think I know with you in this course. At the same time, I also want to learn from you. Your experience, your thoughts, perspectives with your fresh eyes. We will work on our challenges together, helping each other from our different positions. There are things I want us to achieve in this course. 1, enjoyment. When we are having fun, we are at our best. We're energized, we're memorable to ourselves and others. 2, future friendships and collaborative projects. You all have very diverse backgrounds and interests, but you also have many common grounds. You're very capable, hard-working students, motivated to address issues and create a better future for everyone. I want you to meet your classmates with the mindset that they are your friends and collaborators, potentially for lifetime. 3, pay attention to the nonverbal communication as well as the verbal communication. Do not, please, talk over others. Sometimes active listening means listening to the silence and consider what the silence is communicating. 4, everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always. Those are not my words. This is a very famous quote. I think many of you know this, but this is also very important. Diverse backgrounds means that you have very different life circumstances, and your classmates might be going through challenges that you cannot even imagine. So when you will be collaborating in group projects and everything, do not judge others. Do your part and do more if you can. It's not your responsibility, but you should be willing to do what you can, even if it's more than your share. If your group members have some reasons not to be able to fulfill their part of the group projects. That is how the world works, really. And 5, finally, ask not what Stanford e-Entrepreneurship can do for you. Ask what you can do for Stanford e-Entrepreneurship. This is also sort of a pun on a very famous quote on Kennedy. Okay, but ask not what Stanford e-Entrepreneurship can do for you, but ask what you can do for Stanford e-Entrepreneurship. Trust me, this will end up benefiting you more. Okay, with that, I conclude my orientation video to you. Okay, cheers. Let our journey begin.